Okay, let's start.
I will start.
I think it's her dog.
So we're starting, right?
Yeah, I think we can start.
Okay, hi guys，欢迎大家参加今年的 CAJ Senior Night。我是今晚的主持人 Sherry，我将就读于西北大学学习社会学。
我是主持人 Dora，我将就读 Cornell University 主修 Computer Science。
今晚我们有幸请到了8名优秀且不同专业的嘉宾，为我们分享他们的升学经验以及建议。
这是我们今晚的流程。
我们会先请8位嘉宾各自为我们讲述他们的个人经历，大家可以在听的过程中准备好想要问的问题。我们会在嘉宾分享完之后开放提问。
接下来让我们有请今晚的第一位嘉宾 Joshua。
All right, hello everyone. It's nice to meet you. My name is Joshua Dong. I'm going to Cornell Business at Dyson. So yes, this is my quick intro. I'll be attending Cornell next year. I applied ED to UPenn Wharton because I attended two of their summer programs, and I thought it was pretty fun. And 2 of my cousins did attend UPenn, so I thought that was a pretty good choice. But I didn't get in, which is completely fine. I'm really happy with where I'm going right now. And just one thing you got to know about your ED school is that don't apply ED if you're not fully knowledgeable or you're not sure if you really want to commit if you do get in. I know some friends who did apply ED, but they weren't even really sure if they wanted to go to that school. So definitely don't do that. Just as a quick overview, I'm interested in business, finance, entrepreneurship, and blockchain. So that's why obviously I apply to mainly business schools or just schools that either have a business school or are good with economics and finance. So that was my whole list. If you want my full list, you can just contact me. I'll drop my email in the chat later. But yeah, so in terms of like activities I did in high school, a lot of it revolved around just things I liked, and I try to focus more on like business and finance. So some of the things I did here was I was the president of the debate club. I ran an investing initiative with FBLA, captain of the boys varsity badminton, and just a couple other things. So I really think that most of my extracurriculars just centered around me being a well-rounded person, but I had a spike in business because I did investing outside of school. I ran 2 e-commerce businesses outside of school, and I just did like other things I was interested in just in that field. So in terms of just college applications, be unique, try to stand out. If you are younger, like if you have younger children, definitely tell them to explore what they're interested in. Don't force them down one path because usually that leads to like unhappiness and other not so great things. But sometimes you just gotta let them find out what they like to do and try to push them in that area. Because I knew from 9th to like 8th to 10th grade, my parents wanted me to either become like an engineer or doctor. Like that was like their set path for me, and I feel like that's a lot of other people in this chat. So if you're a parent, like don't force that down your kid's throat, because they're gonna be unhappy later in life, even if they don't end up liking being a doctor or engineer. So yeah, once I chose business as what I wanted to do, my parents were very supportive, and I'm really happy that they backed me up a lot. And anything I wanted to do, they were just like, yeah, go for it. We're not gonna like prevent you or stop you. All right, next slide. And some other advice I have is for the juniors, or if your son or daughter is a junior on this call right now, plan your applications over the summer. Just put yourself on a schedule, because I know a lot of people don't do this. They just like work on it whenever they feel like it, which is not a good strategy. Like have a plan over the summer to at least knock out your common application, personal essay, and like some of your activities, and then from that you're like on a pretty decent path. It'll save you a lot of stress and time, because if you're scrambling, if you start your applications the start of senior year, you're like screwed, because there's a lot of work for writing essays. So don't do that. For me, I manage all my time through a Google Calendar and a to-do list. So whatever fits you, wherever fits your children, make sure to keep them on schedule too. Like remind them from time to time, just in case they forget. And if you're younger, like 8th grade, freshman, sophomore, even junior, again, going back to my point of finding what you're interested in and pursuing it. Like I was interested in business, so I started like an e-commerce store. So honestly, just find what you're interested in. And I know like a lot of people are going to tell you this, like, oh, find what you're passionate about, and pursue your passion. But most people, they don't even adults don't even know what their passion is yet. So don't put too much stress on yourself. Try a lot of different things. And at the end of the day, just know that college isn't the end of the road. You know, it's about, for me, my motto with heading to college applications is that it's more about what you do in the college rather than the specific college you get into. Like, you can do amazing things going to community college. Like, I know a few people doing that, and they're going to go much further than, you know, people going to Ivies just because of their work ethic and their background. So at the end of the day, just I know I don't know anyone who got super stressed over college apps, but I know some people just got like really nervous, you know. But so just keep a cool head, and parents obviously don't put too much pressure on your kid. I mean, I know it's good to, like, you know, pressure them a little bit so they can do a bit better, but too much is not good. And even at a young age, it's good to, you know, take a step back and see where they're really headed, and then you can, you know, go from there. So again, you know, all the advice I gave, you know, if you feel free to implement it. I know some of the speakers, they might say similar or different things, but that's just my own perspective and opinion. I'm gonna enter my email in the chat now. So if you guys wanna, if your sons or daughters wanna talk to me about business, feel free to do so. This is my personal email. Email me anytime and I'll get back to you. Okay. Yeah, that's my spiel. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Josh. 就像 Josh 所说的，越早开始准备 application， 这个过程就会越轻松。如果需要的话，可以用 Google Calendar 或者 To Do List 帮忙管理时间。但很重要的是，你要知道自己对什么有兴趣，这样才会比较容易展示出你的 passion。
是的，接下来让我们有请第二位嘉宾 Devin。
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Devin Jin, and I'm committed to Rhode Island School of Design, and my major is undecided. I applied EDT RISD in November and received my application acceptance letter in early December. To share my early art experience a little bit, I started to participate in art-related curriculums and activities outside of school since I was in elementary school in China before I moved to America. But I mostly developed my art skills, such as sketching and other basics in middle school and high school after I moved. So as an immigrant, the first few years in a new country were hard when I moved to the district in 6th grade, but fortunately I have moved here early enough so that I had time to transition and habituated to the environment. On the other hand, being an immigrant also created many obstacles for me, especially relating to college applications. Because of my lack of like English language skills, I wasn't able to excel in school's English and history classes, and therefore did not select to be in the higher level or AP classes, nor did I achieve a really high SAT English scores. So after I decided to participate in art-related majors in college, the choice of art studio became very important. Art and design majors may seem like an easy pathway that does not need to have an outstanding school GPA and standardized test scores. But however, it's extremely energy consuming as I started the college portfolio creation. Art studio is the place where I dedicate most of my time after school, from the middle of junior year until college application due dates. I had invested around 4 hours after school, 4 to 5 days per week during the school days, and 8 hours a day during the summer to create and finalize my portfolio pieces at my art studio with professional art teachers. And in addition, apart from the studio, I usually needed to finish up works at home too. Therefore, balancing time was very hard, especially during the application period where I had to manage AP testing, SAT testing, sport seasons, and much more other stuff with my portfolio creation. In addition, there's much more to prepare other than the art portfolio. Depending on the school you're applying to, different schools require different academic achievements. Since my parents were pretty strict with my academics, I had a relative high school GPA and SAT scores, which I believe is what made me stand out a little bit more than other art students. Furthermore, other extracurriculars that I did, such as participation in the school's varsity badminton team, of founding a not-for-profit organization, achievements in art contests, pre-college summer camps were all pretty important for my college applications. Despite the application process, I have chosen RISD as my early decision college to apply to after careful discussions with my family. In my opinion, under the premise that I am fully prepared to apply, ED gives me a higher chance to get into school, which I am really passionate about. After thorough considerations and research about RISD, I believe that it is the school that would best fit me. Thus, I have tried my best to prepare for it, and I have fortunately received a positive response from RISD.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you， 谢谢 Devin 为我们的分享。从 Devin 的经历来看，我们可以总结出很多华人学生都可以学习到的经验。首先，我们可以看出在高中初期就定好专业的好处，比如扬长避短。扬长避短其实是大学申请的一个关键。就像 Devin 所说，由于他在10年级就确认好了他想要申请艺术院校，他就有效的分配已经利用了他有限的时间，去增强他的艺术强项，以及弱化他的英语弱点。比如在英语成绩在他把他的英语成绩补上标准线之后， Devin 并没有花费更多格外的精力去再一步选修，比如说英语 AP， 而是选择去丰富了他的艺术作品集。就像 Devin 所说，申请艺术专业所需要的精力其实并不比其他专业少。正因为如此，他同时也没有落下他的基础成绩以及他的其他课外活动，所以 she ultimately 成功的在一众艺术学子里突出了重围。
OK， 接下来让我们有请 Joey。
Okay, hi everyone. 我的中文名字是刘欣怡 and I'll be attending Harvard University in the fall. I'm currently planning on concentrating in integrative biology with a secondary or a minor in government, and I will also be on the pre-law track, but things are definitely subject to change as I explore. Some brief background information about me. I love dancing. I learned hip hop, K-pop, and I used to do Latin and ballroom as well. I love watching TV shows such as The Good Place, Bridgerton, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, journaling, etc., etc. Throughout high school, I was involved in the Science Olympiad teams. I was a states member for 2 out of the 3 years that I was on the team. I was also in mock trial, and I was a lawyer for both years that I was on the team, and also part of the school's varsity dance team. I also co-founded a student organization with a friend called JJ Eco Friends, and that was definitely a big part of my application. So moving on then to my college application process, I applied REA, which is Restrictive Early Action, to Yale University, in which I was deferred, and then I RD'd to a bunch of different schools. In total, I applied to 11. I did submit my SAT score, and to some schools, I submitted my AP scores, but some I actually forgot to, and Harvard was actually one of them. I was fortunate enough at the end to be accepted into a lot of amazing schools on my list, such as Harvard, Princeton, Cornell, Duke, and Vanderbilt. But I was also rejected by schools such as Brown, Yale, and NYU. So this is just a tip for the future. Don't take your decisions too much to heart as a reflection of who you are, because oftentimes there are just so many factors that go into your decision. So moving then to my ideology for the entire college application process, I view it as 4 parts. So academics, extracurriculars, personal essays, and teacher recommendations. So definitely consider your strengths and your weaknesses and focus on what part of your application that you can really shine in and distinguish yourself. So if that's academics for you, like, do you have any awards and competitions? Are they national, regional, statewide, etc.? For extracurriculars, do you have leadership ability? Do you have any significant impact in the club or whatever organization you're a part of? For personal essays, focus on your writing skills and being able to show different aspects of yourself in a way that's memorable. So that doesn't mean writing just about and elaborating more about your extracurriculars, sorry. It could be more about like this hobby that you have to show that like you're a human being, you're not a machine who just studied and crammed hard for college. And finally, the last part is teacher recommendations. This one is sort of out of your control, but definitely consider asking teachers that know you well in different areas. And finally, understand ultimately what type of applicant you are. So what role would you have in your college community? So would you be a student government leader, a creative artist, a biology researcher, et cetera, and really try to make that shine through in your application. So finally, some tips I have. I really recommend reading a lot. This definitely helps the quality of your writing. And in my opinion, like personal essays are one of the most important parts of the application because that's when they can hear your voice and who you are as a student. Also plan ahead, expose yourself to the prompts of different schools earlier, and then you can brainstorm about them unconsciously or consciously. I actually got a lot of my essay ideas at night when I was like brushing my teeth or right when I was about to fall asleep. And then I would like jump out of my bed and like go on my phone and text myself what I was thinking of. And I actually ended up using a lot of them. Have 1 to 2 editors read over your essays for you. I would keep this number small because if you have a lot of editors, it's going to dilute your voice. So have 1 or 2 students or teachers that know you well to help you edit your essays. And finally, just relax because after a certain point on working on your applications, you're no longer productive and you're only going to stress yourself out. So when you're at that point, just go out for a walk, call a friend and rant, or eat some good food, and then come back with a fresh mind and work on your apps. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today.
Thanks, Joey. 从 Joey 的分享中，我们可以看出它的内容非常的丰富，它包含了各种领域，比如说舞蹈、模特儿、模拟联合国、科学竞赛等等，这些都可以丰富你的申请书。我相信很多人都烦恼过怎么写 application essay， 像 Joey 所说的，多多读些课外读物是可以帮助提升我们的文笔的。还有提早开始 brainstorm essay 的题目是很有帮助的，毕竟在很短的时间内是很难想出出色的 essay topic 的。
就是这样，接下来让我们有请下一位嘉宾 Vicky Wang。
Hi, my name is Vicky Wang. 我的中文名是王小薇. I'm currently a senior from Jericho High School and will be attending Cornell University this fall of 2022. I applied ED to Cornell for a bunch of reasons: their size, location, wide selection of majors, a reasonable reach school, and of course their Ivy prestige. I think everyone should apply ED if they have like a specific university in mind that could foster growth in the direction of the field that they want to pursue in the future. That being said, feeling a little lost and undecided is also understandable in this process. So giving my 2 cents, I'd say it's worth a shot if you do have a college in mind. Perhaps the main reason why I chose Cornell and the specific college I applied to, Cass, is because I have a lot of different interests and can't choose one to specialize in. In a broader sense, I love creating and designing things, whether that is physical or digital. This realization has allowed me to explore graphic design, other digital media, computer science, and robotics. I've also shown interest in psychology and the arts through classes I've taken 4 years of high school, and also by being a part of a larger literary organization. I think my exploration into diverse subjects was the greatest appeal to admission officers because it emphasized a lot in my application. I think what stood out about my extracurricular section of the Common App is the variety and thus considerable dedication to each activity. I demonstrated this through the honorable mentions I've earned and leadership roles I've taken over the years. I think the earliest time to start thinking about college is the summer of sophomore year. However, I think it's also important to go into high school knowing that grades will start to matter more and that time spent on each extracurricular activity will be taken note of by admissions officers. It's great if you already know what you enjoy doing, but I feel like you should do some exploring over the 4 years as well because you never know, maybe you'll find a new interest. I manage my time by writing a to-do list every week, depending on the deadline of the importance in each task. I'll reorder the list for each day by according to priority. And I think the biggest advice for time management is starting early. Knowing how you work best is also necessary in order to complete tasks efficiently. Yeah, that's all I have to share.
Thank you, Vicky. So, 大部分人可能会觉得无专业的大学申请会或多或少的有些许劣势，但 Vicky 用她的经历告诉了我们，这并不是一定的。毕竟归根究底， 我们也只是涉世未深的高中生，所以很多学生在现阶段选专业其实是比较困难的。就像 Vicky 所说的，与其把这个当成一种劣势，他成功的向招生官展示了他对不同领域的兴趣以及探索精神。建议方面，除了时间管理以外 ，Vicky 强调了异地的重要性，尤其是在心中对某所学校有兴趣的情况下，试试总是不亏的。
OK，接下来我们有请 Wesley。
Hello, guys. My name is Wesley Wang. I am attending Harvard College next year, or Harvard University, or whatever you want to call it. My dad always says Harvard College because it's like, I don't know. I think that's the undergrad school. So Harvard College, and I'm majoring in econ. Although I don't know 100% sure. I might want to do film. And yeah, a bit about me. I love films. I love making films. I love watching films. And it's a kind of a unique thing that I think if you have your child kind of explore a lot of interest when they're younger, and that's what my parents did for me. It's good because they can have this unique thing that they really, really love. For example, like Devin's doing like design and stuff. It's really cool. So if you have that, it kind of helps you stand out already in the college application. So like Josh said, he was like stressing it a lot earlier, like follow your passion, but it's something I always stand by. It's kind of like film for me wasn't, when people were like, oh, you want to be a filmmaker, it's just like, it's such a strange thing. And I think there's a stigma regarding that. But I think if you really follow it and you get to a point where you start getting comfortable and you get much, much bigger productions and stuff, I think it'll really start helping your resume as well. So I'd say I also have a to-do list. That was like a common topic I've seen. But like you just have like a list of things that you want to get through. And I think it really helps your organization. And write a lot and read a lot. I think that'll help you come up with ideas for essays, but not just essays in general. Like your creative thinking, it'll really help. And yeah, I also played chess for a long time, like Evelyn did, and that also was a big part of how it helps foster my growth as a creative thinker and all that stuff. I think it helps you plan, think ahead, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's all I gotta share.
Thank you, Wesley. 他分享了很多宝贵的经验，这告诉我们 pursuing your interest 是很重要的。他从小学就开始下西洋棋，从中学开始醉心于电影，并持续不断的在这两个领域里创造出惊人的成绩。另外，他也在音乐和运动方面有非常突出的表现。
下一位，让我们有请 Ethan Zhang。
Hi, my name is Ethan Zhang. I am currently a senior at Jericho High School and will be attending Stanford University this fall. 我中文名字是张一村。One important step of the college application process that I remember taking a lot of time on is the Common App essay. Capped at 650 words, it is the most important essay that practically every school asks for. I think the most important thing to know about the Common App essay is that it takes a lot of drafts before you can finally say you're finished. It is easy to think any draft of what you have written is perfect, even the best piece of writing you have ever written, and yet upon further editing, realize your essay still had a lot of room for improvement. So I recommend taking the Common App essay first and to give you the time you need before starting it officially. Overall, I think my application really stood out because of its focus on one passion, math. Usually, there are two approaches to the college application process, one of which is to do many things well, and the other of which is to focus on one or two extracurriculars. Both approaches, I feel like, work quite well. It honestly depends on which one you prefer. If you feel undecided in what you are interested in, focus on the first approach. But if you feel like there is one or two things that you are most passionate about, focus on the second approach, which I think is an effective way to make your application stand out. By discussing multiple aspects of my commitment to math, whether it be contest or community service or leadership, I think my application was able to stand out. I chose Stanford for its vibrant community and its mathematics and applied mathematics program. As someone who has been interested in math since 6th grade, I hope to apply my skills in math to an interdisciplinary area at college and beyond. The average quarter system, which will allow me to take more courses than normal, was quite ideal for this. Over the past 7 years, no subject has allowed me to grow as much as math, something that was simultaneously enjoyable and productive college application-wise. Most of you still have plenty of time before the college application process officially starts, which means there is still plenty of time to discover who you are, whether it be your interests or motivations or unique personality traits. While there are definitely some things to worry about, like SAT scores or school grades, it is best to not overstress the process. Try to make it as natural as possible. You can even start now by determining what you are passionate about. What keeps you awake at night? What do you love to share with your friends? Focus on that, and when the time comes, you will be ready. Good luck.
Thank you, Ethan. 就像 Ethan 所说的，文书可以算是大学申请中最重要的因素之一。在最完美的那一版出现之前，一篇好的文书可能需要无数遍的打磨，所以最好为文书留出足够充沛的时间。相信听到现在，大家也已经发现了，今天的嘉宾里有很专注于一两个兴趣的，比如 Ethan，他对数学的天赋、热情以及努力造就了他今天的成功。也有兴趣爱好很多的，像是 Vicky 和 Joey， 这两种方向其实并没有孰高孰低，根据自己的情况来才是最能保障成功的。
接下来让我们有请 Angela。
Hi everyone. 我的中文名字是朱安琪。I'm Angela. I will be attending Johns Hopkins University in the fall. I was a regular decision applicant, and next year I'll probably be double majoring in public health on the pre-med track and also international studies. So I'm really interested in both science and fields like biochemistry, but I also really love learning languages. And that was actually a pretty big focus on my application. So I'm very passionate about learning languages, and so far I've studied 6 languages, like ancient Greek, Latin, French, Hindi, Chinese, and of course, English. And some of my extracurriculars around that entailed doing a US State Department program where I learned Hindi, leadership in both French Honor Society and Latin Honor Society, as well as competing in national language competitions. So I think having aspects of your application like leadership activities and competitions really demonstrate that you're willing to go above and beyond with your field of study. Additionally, I think taking courses outside of school is also a great way to show to colleges that you really are passionate about the subject beyond just the school borders. And while I focus on languages, I think also it's pivotal to show that you are multifaceted. And I included aspects in my applications like science research, nonprofit work, volunteering, and various other awards like Project Green Challenge or the Scholastic Silver Medal. And so my biggest advice really on the college app process is just to start as early as possible, especially in terms of the Common App essay. I suggest getting a pretty decent draft done by the end of your junior year summer. And so, because once school starts, it'll really get so hectic. And if you don't have this integral part of your application, it can really get overwhelming. But good news is that the prompts are pretty much the same every year. So you can already start brainstorming ideas on what to write. Additionally, this also applies to big competitions or scholarships like Regeneron. And if anyone here is interested in science research, Regeneron is a great competition to enter, but it also happens to overlap exactly with the early decision deadline, which was very rough. But similarly to the college apps, their application is pretty much the same every year, so you can kind of have a draft done beforehand. And additionally, while grades are definitely important, I think that they're really not everything. And I see grades as more of a baseline to sort kids into. But the main bulk of your application is really your extracurriculars, your essays, and also your recommendations. With recommendations, make sure you put in the effort to really talk and get to know your teachers. I was fully virtual last year, so it may have been a bit different, but I did go to all of my teachers' nests or extra help sessions just to have a conversation, even if it's about school or like other subjects in life. Additionally, from what I've seen from other students looking over their applications after they were admitted, a lot of schools value recommendations very highly because it kind of gives a glimpse into your personality from another person. So make sure you be proactive with your efforts and also be yourself. So while there definitely is a lot of pressure to get into the best school, especially here in Jericho, also remember that it's really what you do at that school and with the resources at that school that matter, not just the prestige behind the school's name. But regardless, I wish everyone good luck with the college application process and hope you remember to just have fun and enjoy your senior year. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Angela. 谢谢你的分享。虽然他即将就读 Johns Hopkins 学习医学，但他也展现了他在语言方面的兴趣，这让他的申请书变得非常的特别。这一点可以给大家参考。这告诉我们，除了追求科研的卓越成就以外，还要展现其他特别的兴趣。
接下来，让我们有请今晚最后一位嘉宾 Evelyn Zhu。
All right, hello everyone. My name is Evelyn Zhu, and I'll be attending MIT in the fall. I plan on majoring in computer science, so a lot of the stuff I did in high school has to do with that. I participated in coding competitions, worked on some research projects, and also started a program to teach elementary school kids how to code. My other main extracurricular activity was chess, and this was kind of my spike. I did pretty well as a competitive chess player, and I also taught a lot of chess and even created my own chess organization. I was also a relatively good student academically, which I think helped to some extent. I was able to maintain a perfect GPA, and because of that, got named valedictorian of our class. And I think just putting that all together, I had a relatively strong application package, which fortunately landed me into MIT, as you know, but also Harvard University. And in the end, I turned down Harvard because I really felt that MIT was the right place for me. So some of you guys in the audience might end up in the same situation where you have to choose between several good schools. So if there's any piece of advice I would give, it's to just do your research and ultimately go for the college that you think fits you the best, where you think you will most belong at. And yeah, that's my speech. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, so Evelyn 有提到她的课外活动其实并没有特别的多，尤其是她在已经有很明确方向的情况下，她选择了只在某几个活动上花费精力做到最好。在选大学环节 ，Evelyn 同样给了我们一些很好的建议。首先，不管是 ED 选哪所学校，还是 RD 被录取后选择进入哪所学校，适合才是最重要的。基础设施、地理位置、专业偏向以及人文校风都对大学选择尤其重要。就像 Evelyn 所说，你可以在探索阶段寻求他人的帮助以及建议，但这是你自己的未来，所以应该由你做最后的决定。
OK， 让我们再次感谢8位嘉宾，希望嘉宾们的分享有帮助到大家更深一步的了解大学申请的流程。接下来我们将进入问答环节。
各位可以把准备好的问题用 Zoom Chat 私聊给我就好了，中文和英文都可以。然后我们会按照顺序提问给嘉宾。Should we do a question right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so 在大家发问题之前，我们可以先问一些问题。So, can you describe how you got into the field you're interested in, and how did you end up deciding on your major? 就是 Dora, you can translate.
What?
OK， 就是选专业，你们是怎么对自己现在感兴趣的东西感兴趣的，以及你们是怎么最终决定的你们的专业？Anyone who wants to answer can jump in.
I guess I could go first. So for my major, undergrad actually isn't so much as important to me because I'm thinking about doing law school. So it's more about my grad school that matters to me. So for undergrad, I'm just choosing it based off of things that I found I liked in high school. So I really loved AP biology and I just really enjoyed it. So I'm going with integrated biology. I'm going to go check it out, see what it is. But ultimately, I have until the end of my sophomore year to decide on my major. So even then, even though I'm going in as integrated biology, I'm going to be exploring a lot.
Anyone else?
Yeah, so I think for me, while I do have intended majors right now, I'm really not 100% sure. I just knew I liked STEM and I knew I liked languages. And so I kind of went with things that both were applicable with my school and also I was interested in. But like especially during undergrad, I know some people change their major so many times. So I think it's really just to figure out what you're interested in right now and just like see if you can craft a story around that and not really so much worry about like the title or anything.
Very good advice. Anyone else? Or we can jump to the next question. Okay, so the next question is, what type of essays stand out to most colleges? That one is a very hard to answer question.
I'd say like for college essays, you can elaborate on like a specific experience that you've had, because that's usually what's most unique about each person. And that can be about a extracurricular activity that pertains to that, but anything about your personality really makes your essay more unique. So I think that's very important to consider.
And I'll just add on briefly as well. Like, I think well-written essays are really important. I feel like the topic, because there are so many possible things that you can write about, isn't necessarily the most important part, but how it comes out in your voice. I feel like that's really important as well.
Yeah, make it personal too. So like, or else anyone can write about it.
Sherry, do you have another question? No one has any questions. Okay. So among all of your extracurricular activities, which one do you think is the most important and unique to you? So in Chinese, 就是你们所有的课外活动里面，你觉得哪一个是最重要的？ Anyone want to answer? Vicky, do you want to volunteer?
Sure. I think out of everything in my resume, I think my participation in like a literary organization was what stood out the most in my application, because I did mostly STEM stuff, like robotics, computer science, and I think adding that into my resume really showed the admissions officers that I had a lot of variety in what I was interested in, and like the arts was something that I really enjoyed doing as well.
Yes, okay, so Ethan wanted to say something about the first question, but he had tech issues before and now he's back. So just for a reminder, the first question is, what is it like, how did he get into his interest and why did he ultimately pick math as his major? So Ethan want to answer that.
So at first, before 6th grade, I had no idea what I was interested in. And I actually didn't like math that much. But in 6th grade, I gave math an actual chance and I really tried it. I found out it was actually a pretty cool subject. A pretty interesting subject. It was very fun and very cool. Since then, I've always loved math a lot. So sometimes I feel like if you don't know, you just try it and you might actually really like it. So right now, all you can just try various subjects and extracurriculars, and it might be one that you really end up liking.
Thank you, Ethan. Okay, so we have our next question from Flora asking, sorry, my screen. Are interviews an important part of college process?
Okay, I'll take this one. So I think they are and they aren't at the same time. So especially if it's a college in which they receive a lot of applicants, they can't possibly interview everyone. And so while they take your interview into account, they also can't hold it against students who didn't receive an interview, like against them. So I think interviews, like it's an amazing opportunity to connect with your interviewer if you can, and to show them like why you should consider me more. But at the end of the day, like it's not super important. And just don't be, I think the number one thing is just don't be rude, disrespectful, late, etc. on your interview. But just, you also don't have to worry too much about it.
Yeah, I think to follow up on that, I completely agree with everything that Joey said. But basically, interviews are kind of like they only really can help you unless like you're just not a good person during the interview. Then like it really hurts you in terms of that. But if you just like want to do it and you participate in it and it goes pretty well, like it can only really help you. They really can't hold anything against you. So I think it's a good opportunity, but do not stress too much about it. And I don't know how it's going to be for your year, but for us, it was completely virtual. So I think I'm really not sure about next year, but I think that maybe in the future it could also be continue to be virtual. And so while there isn't that like interpersonal connection, it's still a really great opportunity.
Cool, thank you. So the next question is, how do you prepare for ACT, SAT? Attend test prep class?
Okay. Oh, Vicky, you can go.
Thank
I
you,
think
Joey.
you can go after me if you want,
Oh,
but I
thank
think
you.
I think yes, attending test prep class is very important. But you can also do practice exams on your own. There's like 10 official exams on the actual AP website, on College Board, not AP website, yeah, College Board website. And then you can just print it out and then like time yourself with everything, and then also go back and look at your errors and then correct those errors, and then make sure you learn those mistakes before you redo another like practice exams. That's how you learn from your like yeah.
Did Joey, you want to say something? Or we can go to the next question.
His answer was perfect.
Okay, Ethan wants
I have something to add. I
Mhm.
feel like with standardized testing, is more about how to take the test, not the material. So no matter what subject it is, whether it be English or reading, knowing the material is just the easy part. Afterwards, it's really about taking the test. So you just keep on taking practice tests until you get a hang of it and know how to take the test. So yeah.
Cool, very useful strategies, I would say. Also, I will personally say that it's also really important to read, because I think that will help with the SAT reading section a lot. I think that comes now, which like it takes time to build up your reading skills. And the next one we have, do you think that college, oh, here we go. Do you guys have any recommended sources to prepare for the SAT? Tutors, etc. Like what Vicky said, first of all, we have available free practice exams on College Board. And yeah, anyone want to take over?
Khan Academy, I use that one a lot.
Yes. I feel like as long as you want to prepare for the SAT, there's a lot of resources you can find online, and tutors surely help. Like I think having a tutor, it's having more personalized help. And then online sources, it's just it relies a lot on the student itself.
I want to add something.
Yes, Vicky.
Like Ethan said before, College Board writes their exams in a specific way. So try not to use like Princeton Review or Barron's, because they might not format the questions the same, and that might change the way you take the test.
Okay, but guys, even though this is like really important to some, but as like the years have progressed, I think colleges are like now putting less and less of an emphasis on your scores. So if you're like really struggling to get to the result that you really want, then maybe it doesn't matter that much, because for example, this year was test optional. So some of us like didn't submit our scores as schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. To follow up on that, I think I definitely agree. There is a lot less weight on like the exact score. I think it's better as long as you're just kind of like in a general range, like that's perfectly fine. There's no need to like get a 1600. Like that's just like, you don't need to be like completely perfect in that sense. And I think a good example of that is actually like the SAT2. So I was like stressing about taking my SAT2 math, and then like I stressed so much that the College Board officially canceled it. And so it was great. But basically, basically, I think just aim for a range. There's really no need to like stress too much about the exact score. And like as Sherry and Joey and Vicky said, like you can get tutors or you can just use the College Board materials, because once you take like a lot of tests, you'll realize that pretty much the questions are the exact same. It's just like different words, different numbers. And yeah.
Very true. And I think Ethan want to say something about the interview question.
Yeah, so I agree with what the other presenters said, and I believe the interview is actually not that important. I mean, I've heard of people talking about, oh, if you get the interview earlier or later, and they think it means something, but the interview is just completely random, and as long as you don't completely mess it up, it can only help you. And I've heard that in the college application, your interview is like a line. For the admission officers, all you see from interview is like a line. You just summarize it with a line. So it really doesn't matter that much. Just be natural and you'll be fine at an interview.
Cool, thank you. So next question we have, do you think that college application competitiveness will increase more after test blind and other COVID policy ends? I think the Chinese version of that will be 大学申请的竞争会不会在 test optional 的会不会在 test optional 这个选项消失后变得更强烈？ Anyone want to take over? Evelyn, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think from this year, you can kind of already tell that college applications have been getting more competitive, because now that it's like most colleges are test optional, like almost anybody can really just try their luck and apply there. So there's just a greater amount of people that the AOs have to review and stuff. Yeah, I think that just, I guess, makes sense, right? I don't know. I think in the future, it could be the same, because many colleges are going to continue this test blind or test optional system. And we'll just kind of have to see how that works out.
Yeah, this is pretty hard to say. Okay. Next question. How do you manage your time to do
So yeah, I also feel like while the admission rates are probably going to go down due to COVID policy, the actual amount of potential people that actually have a chance to get into the top schools wouldn't really change. So only be slightly more competitive, even though the admission rates might go down a lot because of COVID policy. So yeah, don't worry too much.
Okay, so back to the question. How do you manage your time to do as much APs as possible and extracurriculars? Vicky, you said you mentioned you did a lot of extracurriculars, so do you want to touch upon this?
I think it's just doing your homework early, like as early as possible, so you get it done before like you start your sports and stuff, so you don't have to stay too late into the night to finish it when you like go back home. But definitely prioritizing your time to do things that you value more is very important. Also, like learn how you work as well. Like some people like doing stuff last minute and can handle that pressure. So if you're that type of person, then you would work a certain way and like manage your time that way.
Oh, can I add something on that?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think if you also want to be like productive academically, just focus in class and pay attention. Like you'll be surprised, there's a lot of people who just don't do that, but you can save a lot of time by just paying attention to what's said in class. It helps a lot with like when you're doing homework or just studying for tests.
Yes. Devin, do you want to say something? Or we can do the next question and then.
Yeah, I think for discussion they answer like a lot.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the next question is, for someone who's interested in a lot of things and have no spikes, do you think it's important to show a high amount of interest in all of them, or is it okay to just focus on a few while still being casually interested in a lot? I think this one's a very suitable question for Vicky.
Wait, can you repeat that question?
So it's saying that is it okay to show interest in a lot of things do you think it's important to show a high amount of interest in all of them, or is it okay to just focus on a few while still being interested in like quite a few things?
I think for me, there were definitely a few that stood out to me out of the ones that I did participate in. So I did take more initiative in like leadership roles and like also had a lot of honorable mentions in like the ones that I enjoyed doing more. So I think it will definitely show, but I feel like in terms of spreading yourself too thin, I think it's better for you to focus on like a few, even if you're very interested in those, so you don't like get burnt out at the end.
Yeah, I think this also ties into the other question. Does it help to have college prep counselor in early stage, like 9th grade? I think basically it's important to have like a theme. So like I think Joey mentioned in her section that like you have to decide like what you want to present to the college admission officers. For example, like Evelyn focused on her spike in like STEM, like coding, and then Devin had her spike in art. So that's what they focused on. And for Vicky, her theme was to be like well-rounded. So if you have like a well-going theme going on, like honestly, you don't really need a counselor like too early. You just have to make sure like you're on track to like what you want to be.
Yes, cool.
Okay, the next question. Do you hire private college counselors and are they helpful? Does anyone want to answer that question?
Anyone want to answer that?
I will answer this question.
Yes, pick a path. Sorry.
So I did work with a college counseling service, I guess, and I thought it was pretty helpful for me. As Sherry said, it was called Pick a Path. So if anybody's interested, go check them out. But for me, it was helpful in a few ways. I think the main way was just kind of like some good guidance, because both my parents didn't go to school in the US. So it was, and I'm also the oldest child in my family. So it's like I didn't really know anything about how the college application system works here in the US. So having a counselor could help me on that end. And also I was like a terrible writer. So essays were very, very hard. But my counselor was an amazing writer, a great editor, and she could give a lot of good, helpful feedback. And Dora also talked about like themes and stuff for your whole college package. So she helped me really focus my themes on chess and STEM, the two things I was interested in.
Cool. Vicky, Devin, Ethan, do you guys want to add on?
I did have a college counselor, but I feel like looking back, it didn't really help me in terms of like the college application process specifically. I think more so like the essay, but I think once you know like what like the theme that Dora was talking about going into it, then it's a lot easier for you to do it yourself, and like guidance is not really necessary. But there's definitely a lot of friends that also helped me in the process. So yeah, that kind of helped with that as well.
Great.
Yeah, also I feel like I should also do a plug. I also had a counselor from Pinnacle Education. Yeah, like it really did help. Like she helped me a lot with timing like all of like my submissions and like keeping me on track for my essays. Okay, so the next question, is it better to apply to many colleges, like a lot of other choices? Does anyone want to?
Devin, do you want to say something? No, actually, Devin ED.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I apply ED, so
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I think it's important to like choose certain college that like you're really interested in. Also have some like backup ones, but like I don't think it's necessary to apply to like too many colleges. It's also like really time consuming because you also have to write extra essays about the college. So like you also have to like take care of like time management and stuff.
Yeah, I would say that if you choose to ED first, definitely most focused on your ED application. But then at the same time, I think it's fine. It's good to have many colleges as like more, so you can have more options to choose by the end, because ultimately like it's really hard for us to know which college is like the perfect college. So like after your ED school, like it's really hard for you to decide on like what schools you want to go to next. So it's always good to have your options open. So applying more means, you know, more chance and more choices. So
yeah, I'm sorry.
yes,
It's
go
also
ahead.
really important to have like a range of different schools that you want to apply to. What a lot of people will say is to have like a reach school, a target school, and safety schools.
Yeah.
So like reach schools are like the really hard school to get into, like MIT, Harvard, you know. And then you have your target schools where you know like you have a pretty good chance at getting into. And then also you have your safeties, which you know you will definitely get into.
Yes. Well, yeah. Do you have any suggestions about how to improve writing skills? I have for this one, it's to read. Honestly, I think there's no fast ways to improve your writing skills, since there's all different sorts of writing. Like for example, your personal essay, you're not supposed to write it in like a formative research paper way. So like in that case, it's really hard for you to follow a format and to improve your writing skills like that. So like it really requires your true writing abilities. So in that case, I think the only way to improve is to read a lot, because by that you can imperceptibly like improve your understanding of the language, and then how to let the words out more naturally so that they sound like you, so that they can show your personality, instead of like, you know, just searching up writing templates, like how do I write the sentence in a formal way, things like that. Anyone else want to add on?
I think you can also like read some sample essays to like format your prompts. I think there are some good websites. I can link them in the chat later, but they help you just like organize your thoughts and stuff like that, and also how they use like metaphors and symbols to like further make your writing more unique.
So the next question, cool. Thank you, Vicky. The next question is, can you use the same college essays for some colleges, or does it have to be different each time? So this depends. So for your personal essay, you submit through Common App or the Coalition application or something like that. And that one, it's automatically same for every school. And then each individual school, they have different prompts as your supplemental essays. So for example, I EA'd to UMich, and then they required, I think three supplemental essays in addition to the main essay, the personal statement. So for the 3 supplemental essays, I end up using some of the same things to my UNC application. So like sometimes if the colleges have overlapping prompts, it's pretty easy to reuse your supplemental essays. But sometimes they, like for example, U Chicago have really interesting and unique prompts. So in that case, you have to rewrite each time. Okay, so I think we can go to the next one. Can you type in the chat some books to read? Anyone book recommendations?
Yeah, maybe I should contact Joey.
Yeah, I think Joey can have a say on this. And at the same time, we'll jump to the next question, which is, that's it. No one else want to ask any questions? Books 14. Yes, books 14. Fahrenheit
451.
Thanks for the reminder, Dora. Yeah, Fahrenheit 451 is pretty good. And it's not a hard read. Sci-fi. I don't think the school requires it right now, right? I don't think so, so you can read it. But I think school used to require.
Yeah, generally, the books they require you to read in English classes are fine.
As long as you read them and don't go to Spark Notes.
I think it's important. I think it's also really important for you guys to keep up with current news. Like the school has a free subscription for you for the New York Times. I think keeping up with those is pretty important. Oh, Joey sent in some book recommendations. So the first one is Joy Luck Club.
I'll type them. You can say
and then it ends with Us, Rejection Proof, Battle Hymn of Tiger Mother, and then Educated, and then Paradox of Choice.
Thanks, Joey. Battle. Yeah, we see how Joey got into Harvard. Sorry.
Hey, Evelyn also got it.
Yes, Evelyn. Book recommendation, Evelyn.
I'll be honest, I don't read that much.
I just emphasize to them the importance of reading. Yeah, read the school assigned books. They can be fun sometimes.
Sure, you're one to say.
Okay, I guess we can wrap it up now if there's no more questions. It was a great panel. And thank you for everyone who came. 对吧？中文。谢谢大家。we have wait 让我们再次感谢8位嘉宾，希望嘉宾们的分享有帮助到大家更深一步的了解大学申请的流程。谢谢大家。
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Also, panelists, can you stay after for a second?
You mean 4 out of 8 panelists?
But thank you everyone for joining. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Oh my God, we're recording.